Beatus Yule.
I am Carl, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you're new to my YouTube channel, then greetings, I'm Carl, and welcome to my YouTube channel. In this video, I'll be talking about Yule because it is Yule season. Depending on when you actually start celebrating it, I'm gonna talk about that very soon. But yeah, without further ado, let's get right to the video. So first of all, I'd like to talk a little bit about what is Yule. It depends how you pronounce it, really, depending on where you're from, your beliefs and all that, but I pronounce it as Yule. If you pronounce it any other way, please comment down below. It's just like Samhain. Some people say it's Samhain or stuff like that. I say Samhain. I don't know if it's because I'm French or something. But yeah, so Yule is actually one of the 8 Sabbats. So I have a document below because I don't remember them by heart in exact order. So there's Samhain, Yule, Imbolc, Ostara, Beltane, Litha, Lugnasash, and Mabun. I had a bit of difficulty with Lugnasash there. But yeah, so basically the reason I put Samhain first is because Samhain is technically the witch's new year, so I just like to put it first. Technically it wouldn't be the first one. Technically the first one is Yule and Samhain will be the last one. But some people either put Samhain before Yule or after Yule, after the whole wheel. It really depends. Anyways, so basically, Sabbats are celebrated in Wicca and pagan cultures, such as a lot of forms of witchcraft, actually. And actually, they're to celebrate the season. So a lot of people think like, oh my god, like Sabbats, it's so dark. What is it about? Because they don't understand what Sabbats are. So Sabbats are about seasons and the wheel of the year and all that. And yeah, so actually, each one of those Sabbats has a like correspondence sort of to a stage of like nature and where the like saison, not weather, season, yeah, it's the same thing in English. I don't know why that took me so long. So basically, for example, if you're to have like Yule, so Yule is the winter solstice. So the winter solstice is you know, winter, so that's the beginning of winter and all that. There's equinox and solstice. I'm not really gonna get into that, but all I'm trying to say is basically each one of them has an association to season. So for example, if you're to take Ostara is spring, Litha is for summer, Mabun is for fall, and then Yule is for winter. Basically, by the way, for my text, legitimately it's just like key points that I have on my school Chromebook. So like I'm pretty much saying this of what I know. So if you have any input on anything that I say, please comment down below because there are many different versions of everything. I am almost certain for the Sabbats, but if you have like different thoughts and all that about Sabbats, you can go ahead and comment down below. So Yule comes from the Old Norse Jol, or Old English Jeol, which basically was a Norse hunting season. So basically it was like the hunting season for Norse people, and that's basically where it comes from. But that's not all really. So basically that's where like December came from in that sense. It's more complicated than that. But yeah, later on it became associated with the Christmas holiday. I'm gonna get into that in a sec, actually. A sec means seconds. But yeah, so basically in some traditions, Wicca, so Yule, is basically like a Celtic legend of the battle in between the young Oak King and the Holy King. So I do not celebrate Yule in that way, so that's why I don't really know fully for that version. But if you celebrate that version of Yule, just tell me about it. But basically for me, what I celebrate Yule as is just for the part of like the cycle of life and like the cycle of the seasons. But just like witchcraft and Wicca and all that, it's very versatile and everybody has a different way to celebrate it and a different way to like represented in that sense. But yeah, so the origins of Christmas. So basically the king of Norway, who was a Christian, passed a new law that the Christmas day and the pagan holiday of Yule will be on the same day. The reason for that also was just because he felt like it and was like, might as well put everything in the same time. And it's also because there were some fights between the Christians and the pagans about who should get the holiday, right? So he was like, let's make it together. But that was actually a problem because that's what caused what we know as Christmas today. Our Christmas is a very evolved way, I guess, if you were to put it that way, from the old Christmas, because back then it wasn't all about gifts, and it wasn't the same thing. It was more on like the holy type of side, you know. So basically, what happened sort of is that since there were more Christian people, depending where you were, basically it got more and more and more like Christian. And even though they were both at the same time, the holidays, like since there were more Christian people, that means that Christmas was celebrated more than Yule, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? It's like if something is more celebrated than another, the other just like seems to fall as the years go on. And then as the witches' trials of Salem, you know, a lot of witches' trials went on, Yule went down and down and down because people were scared to celebrate it in public due to Christmas. But yeah, so a lot of people say like Yule doesn't exist anymore, blah 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 and all that. Well, it does, because it's, well, I celebrate it first of all, so if one person celebrates it, it still exists though. But there's a lot of people that celebrate Yule all around the world. Yeah. So let's get into tradition. So first we have the Yule log. So the Yule log, you might be familiar kind of with that Yule tradition because it's actually very popular. A lot of people seem to know about the Yule log for some reason. So basically the tradition for that is to keep spirits out. So actually I don't do a Yule log because we have a fireplace that you can't really open. It's like with gas, if that makes sense. So we don't connect it through outside the same way and all that. But basically what happens is that a Yule log is basically a log that you can either bless it or not. That depends, you know. But then basically you burn it for the whole season, the whole period of Yule, and it's to keep maleficent and evil spirits out of your house. I'm gonna get into some of those spirits in a sec. But yeah, so generally a Yule log is a tradition in which you burn a log for long period of time, I guess, to keep bad spirits away. Alright, so now I'm going to talk about werewolves on Yule. So werewolves on Yule, that's actually something I did not know about. That's when I was doing my research for more like legends and myths from around the world and not just what I celebrate. I came across this belief that werewolves are born on Christmas Day, which is pretty weird. I've never heard of that before. But it's not all werewolves, it's some werewolves. And the reason for that is actually pretty... It makes sense knowing... You know, so basically it's said that people that were born on Christmas were said to be destined or kind of more likely to be werewolves because it was like a dishonor to Jesus Christ, and it was like a curse basically to like punish you for being born on such a holy day. And that's pretty much what it was. There's not much to say about it. That's like if you were born on his birthday, he was like, that's my birthday, and he would like curse you. That's like pretty much it. There's a lot more into it, but that's what I understood from it, and I'm trying my best to like talk from my mind. Usually I have like a script and all that, and then I try my best to follow it so I don't go like blah blah, but right now I'm really trying to speak my heart into it because Yule is something I'm very passionate about, and I'm trying to like just like get into it. But yeah, so so next up we have Grýla and her Yule lads. So you might be familiar with Grýla because she's a very popular like entity sort of in Yule traditions and culture. So basically she's an ogre and she makes stews of misbehaving children. Yeah, we're getting right into it. So basically you guys have probably heard of Krampus, which I'll be talking about later, but basically Krampus is another creature, but it got more popular than Grýla at some point, so then people started to hear less and less about Grýla, but she's also a witch that kidnaps and cooks children. She doesn't actually kidnap them. I'll talk about that in a sec. So basically her third husband is Lepalioi. Gosh, those accents really bother me. So that guy, basically he was caught having an affair with their maid Lupa, and basically she was like really pissed about it. She was like, how dare you? So she banished the maid, which was Lupa, and her husband, and that's pretty much what there was about it. But then magically her husband comes back into the picture, and even though she's pissed at him, basically they hunt together for children. Basically the dude, what's his name again? Lipalui. I'm gonna put the name on screen either way. But basically he puts the children inside his sack, and she does like the duty of like, you know, like cooking children. Yeah. So like basically like she brings, like, the children are not only for her and her husband or ex-husband. I don't really know their family history, okay? I don't know if they went to a therapist, if they're back together. I don't know any of that stuff. Basically, she cooks for her children and herself for sure. I don't know if she cooks for her husband or her third husband. But yeah. So basically, also, she has the same ability as Santa Claus. So Santa Claus, he can, like, see you while you're sleeping.
He sees you when you're sleeping. He knows when you're awake. He knows if you've been bad or good, so be good for goodness sake. Hey!
So basically, she's like that, but if you're evil, then she'll know you're evil and then kidnap you and cook you.
She knows if you're being evil. She knows if you're awake. She'll kidnap you and make you do stew, so you better behave for good's sake. Hey!
Yeah, so that's pretty dark. But yeah, so anyways, the Yule lads, so her children. So there's a lot of different versions from it. Some people believe that they're like dead kids because it's the kids that she cooked and then she wanted those kids to be hers. That's not what I think what the Yule lads are. It's basically just like the 7 dwarfs, you know, like the Snow White, like the girl that bites into an apple. Don't take apples from strangers, you know. But basically there's like 7 dwarfs, right? And basically the Yule lads are pretty much the same as that. Not that they're dwarfs, but pretty much they have different personalities. For example, if you had like Grumpy would be a grumpy lad. There's not really a grumpy lad. Actually, for the aspect of their names are not actually certain because there's a lot of debates about their names. Recently, actually, there was like kind of a closing on their names because there was a museum that opened and then they put names on it. But people find it really controversial because the museum, just because it's a very established place, they just decided that this is what the final thing is, but some people are still disagreeing with it, so I'm not going to put my opinion onto that. Yeah, so basically they're Grýla's children, actually, but sort of, like I said, depends if you believe they're dead children or her children. But yeah, so basically they take turns visiting children on the 13 nights leading to Christmas. So that's a very important point because the 13 days before Christmas, what happens is that boys and girls or non-binary children would put shoes in front of their window, one shoe, and then the lad would like somehow like break inside your house, which is very creepy, and put something inside your shoe. Could be candy or a rotten potato. Yeah, so if you're good, they're gonna leave you candy, goodies, but if you're bad, they're gonna literally give you something that can be a toxic hazard. Yeah, pretty much. And the thing is that since their mother is Grýla, right? So if you got a rotten potato, that's how you know that Grýla might be after you, because you know that the Yule lads, her children, have informed her of a misbehaving child. Yeah. Anyways, next up we have Krampus. Krampus is one of like the biggest myths and creatures from like Yule and stuff like that. So basically, Krampus is technically like part of pagan rituals and stuff, but the reason for that, we don't worship Krampus. If you do, good for you, but like for example in Wicca, we don't really worship Krampus. Basically it's like we do offerings to Krampus so he leaves us alone, or like we do spells so he leaves us alone, you know, and all that. We're not trying to like summon him and have a tea party, you know. Yeah. Also, basically, he is said to be the son of Hel, or Heel. I'm guessing it's Hel, because Hel sounds like hell. It's Hel with one L, so I think it sounds like... Yeah, anyways, you get what I'm saying. Basically, he's the god of the underworld. You know? Well, not Krampus. His dad, technically. My cat is meowing because I got a new hamster. His name is Marukas. I adopted from my friend, and my cat keeps on trying to get inside my room. He's planning his murder already. But anyways, so basically, with the spread of Christianity, Krampus became associated with Christmas, and the Catholic Church was like, excuse me, what? And they tried to ban him. But yeah, that's what you kind of get for trying to, like, erase somebody else's beliefs and claim theirs. You're gonna get their beliefs, right? So, you know, they got Krampus and they were pissed about it for a while, but then they were like, oh, more publicity, you know? But yeah, so basically, while Saint Nicholas, so Santa, he rewards nice children, basically Krampus beats those who are naughty with branches and sticks, and in some cases he is said to eat them and take them to hell. So yeah, you have Santa, and then you have a goat-looking creature that will kidnap you, beat you with a stick, and eat you, or take you to hell. So you choose your own adventure. But yeah, so basically some festivities that involve Krampus include, I can't read from here, Krampuslauf or Krampus Run. And basically inside this activity, it's basically where like some people wear like masks and they usually have alcohol and all that. It's pretty like, you know, and they dress with creatures, so like furries basically. And basically they like scare the people inside the public and all that. Yes, basically inside the 20th century, with like trying to like preserve the culture that already existed, Krampus runs became more and more and more popular in Germany and Austria. Austria, not Australia. But yes, basically it's like a bunch of people wearing goat masks that try to chase you and scare you. Yeah. So next up we have Frau Pertcha. So Frau actually means woman in German. So basically Frau Pertcha is depicted as a ghostly crone, and she carries like basically like a knife under her skirt, which is honestly dark, so you can kind of know what she does. You know, she has a knife under her dress, you know. It's just like saying we're carrying guns so we can protect ourselves, while she's carrying a knife so she can murder people. You know? I was just kidding, by the way. Yeah, so basically, she's similar to the Scandinavian goddess known as Frigga or Frigga. And yeah, basically they both share like similar obsessions, so they're like twinsies. So basically they like spinning and basically they like your house being clean. Basically, I'm gonna talk about that because she might assassinate you if your house is not clean, so keep your room clean. Mine is not, but like we don't talk about that. But yes, basically the eve of the 12th night is known as Purchase Day. So the legend has it that you better get all your flax spun by the 12th night, so January 6th. Basically flax is like these seeds, right? And basically you weave the fabric of them into flax linen, I don't know. Yeah, linen. I don't know. But basically it said, like there's a saying, for when the Christmas season was over, it will be time for the big upright loom. At right time, you must have enough thread to warp, and it starts your weaving. So yeah, I'm gonna talk what happens if you don't do the weaving, like, in a sec. So basically, Frau Pertcha punishes those ladies who haven't finished all their weaving. And basically what she does is that in Germany and Austria and Switzerland, there is basically like a lot of tales about her setting like fire to your half-spun fibers. So she like burns what you've already done. So if you don't finish it, then she's gonna burn what you already did. But yeah, that's like one of the versions from her. But yeah, a lot of these also are like Germanic, you know, and all that. They're like either from like, you know, like Norway, Iceland, all that, or like Germany, Switzerland, like going upwards to Iceland and Norway and all that, you know. But yeah, specifically, what happens if you irritate her. So basically, if your house is a total mess and all that, so like my room basically, or like anything that's a mess, like for example, you could have like a very messy house, and basically inside a lot of these stories, it's about women, because these are like old tales where women will clean your house and all that, but inside modern versions, it really doesn't matter what gender you are, but inside the old tales, it was regards women. I guess you guys can finish the sentence why. Yeah. So basically, if you irritated her, so also if you did not leave like a porridge bowl, because basically she loves porridge, and that's actually one of the reasons. Actually, it's one of the reasons why maybe, like in America and some parts of Europe, they leave cookies and milk for Santa. It might have something to do with her. Basically, if you don't do that. Basically, she's gonna come into your room while you're asleep, disassemble you, and replace your guts with rocks and straws. So basically, she's going to like skin you alive and make you into one of those like owls that are on shells that are like that have their skin, but it's like stuffed. My dog is barking because my dad just came back. Yeah, so basically, it said also if you don't have a good diet, she's gonna cut your stomach open and put rocks in there. Basically, it is recommended to leave milk and porridge for the creature to consume, and that, like I said, that might be the origins of like the milk and cookies for Santa. But yeah. So lastly, we have the Yule Cat. So the Yule Cat is actually very popular inside regions such as Iceland, Sweden, Norway, Germany, Austria, a lot of those parts, but it's mainly towards, there was one specific country. 1 second, let me Google that. Iceland. So I was right. But basically this one is actually pretty simple. Basically it's like this huge cat, so like a really big cat, right? And then basically if you do not possess or are wearing a new piece of clothing, yeah, because basically he's said to be the house pet of Grýla and her children. So basically, you know, like if you do not have a new piece of clothing, you know, he's gonna like tell his, like, I guess, owner, you know, and all that, and then she'll come and get you, blah blah blah. So it's all kind of related to Grýla for a lot of these. They're all somehow interconnected. Like a lot of these tales go into each other. They connect somehow, you know. Yeah. So basically, the cat is also known as Jolakoturin. Jolakoturin. I'm not going to repeat that. Basically, he lurks the snowy quartzside. So if you live in a very snowy area, if you see like a big mountain just like spawn out of nowhere in your backyard, that's probably him. Yeah, that's all what I had for you guys today. Happy Yule. I hope you guys enjoy. Merry Christmas as well. Or whatever you're celebrating. Hanukkah. Whatever you're celebrating. And I hope you guys enjoyed this video. This video is more on the log side because there's so many legends. I could do so many more videos on Yule, but that's all what I have for you guys today. I hope you guys enjoy. Make sure to like this video and subscribe if you haven't already. And I try not reading my text below because all I had literally was just like keywords. Like it was legitimately just keywords. So I was like trying to remember and improvise on the spot and stuff. I actually had an improv match today. It went really bad because I didn't play. But anyways, yeah, bye guys.